it's just the bruising. It's like a perfect circle. Inside it's sort of hard, as if it's like a scar that should be there, and right in the middle the little pinprick. It looks like where a needle's been.
It was only when the bruise appeared that Emma MacDonald became suspicious. That was 3 days after she'd had a night out with friends in Glasgow. She says she'd only had a few drinks but had little memory of what happened.
I'd remember getting in my taxi home with my friend, but other than that I only remember being in the bar. After speaking to my friends and my mum, they just said that I wasn't very stable. My words were sort of slurring a bit when I was talking. My eyes were kind of rolling as well at times. My friend had said she thought that, like, she didn't even know what to think. She just thought my drink had maybe been spiked. She didn't think that it was an injection or that. She just thought maybe that's what's happened.
This is where Emma came with her friends on Thursday. It was student night, so venues were crowded. She says she visited 3 bars but had a drink in only 1. And at no time was she aware that she'd been injected.
It makes you feel so sick that that's what someone's intentions are with you. It's really scary to think that if I hadn't been all right and if they had got their way, then it could have ended up in much worse.
In a statement, Police Scotland said officers are carrying out inquiries and a small number of reports from the Edinburgh, Dundee, Glasgow and Aberdeen areas are being investigated. We take all reports seriously and we would encourage anyone who believes they have been a victim of spiking in any form to contact the police. Another city, this time Nottingham, and another young woman with a similar bruise and a similar story to tell. Sarah Buckle woke up in hospital after a night out with friends.
All I know is my hand was throbbing the day after, but in the club, I just have nothing, absolutely nothing. It's terrifying. I feel really violated. I don't understand why. Why did they do this? And what potentially could have happened if my friends weren't there.
At the moment,
the woman who leads police work on sexual offences was asked about the issue at a Commons Select Committee today.
There's obviously a huge concern from young people that this is not being taken seriously. They're talking about boycotting nightclubs and so on as a protest. Do you think police forces are taking this seriously enough?
drink spiking and injections now as a trend, speaking of my own force, that's taken incredibly seriously for all the reasons that you've said. There are health concerns there, there's assault here. What is the motivation of the perpetrators? What might those perpetrators also be doing? So absolutely.
Emma MacDonald has had to have a blood test today to check for infections. She'll have to have another 2 over the next few months. The events of one night out have left her anxious and reluctant to go to a bar again anytime soon.
Jane Dodge reporting. Well, I'm joined now by Conservative MP Caroline Noakes, who chairs the Commons Women and Equalities Committee. Thanks very much for coming on the programme. I mean, this is really alarming stuff, isn't it? I've got 3 young daughters who are, like going to clubs, and I have to say, this is really appalling. How prevalent is it, do you think?
Well, I think the scary thing is getting more prevalent, and you hear from young women in particular. Students seem to be a particular target, and it's very clear that we can't just give a message to young girls to keep themselves safe. We have to be more vigilant in nightclubs and bars, and we have to address the cultural issues behind this, where men are thinking it's okay to either spike a drink or potentially to stab someone with a syringe.
I mean, yeah, spiking drinks is bad enough, but using syringes in busy nightclubs is just awful.
Well, it's terrifying. There are all sorts of additional potential health implications. We heard about poor Emma having to go for blood tests to check that she hasn't got any infection. And this is assault, potentially wounding with intent, and really something that we have to make sure young women have the confidence to report to the police, that the police investigate and prosecutions follow.
And do you think the police are taking this seriously enough?
I think the message we've got from the police today is that they are taking it seriously. The question is about finding perpetrators, but also it's one of education, about making sure that we have a message in our schools and colleges around what is consent, how to respect other people, male and female, and making sure that there is not a prevailing culture where it's okay to do this sort of thing.
There's an online petition that's now been signed by over 120,000 people to legally oblige clubs, nightclubs, to search for more than, you know, just the obvious things like knives, proper searches as you walk in. That shows you that women don't feel protected enough and they want the clubs to do more.
The reality that we've seen over the previous 6 months or so is that women, particularly young women, don't feel safe in a wide variety of venues and locations. We have to do more. We need to make sure that there is really solid legislation around public sexual harassment, that we use the online safety bill as an opportunity to make sure that there is robust legislation that tackles the pervading culture of porn.
Because at the moment, the onus for protection is on the women themselves. And that's wrong, isn't it?
It's absolutely wrong. So we have to stop this at source. This has to be about education in our schools and in the workplace, understanding that men cannot be perpetrators of these sorts of activities. We have to double down on the efforts to send a really clear message about what constitutes misogyny, what constitutes unwanted sexual attention, and really making sure that police forces are investigating whenever they get a report of this, and that young women have the confidence to report to police.
Caroline Oakes, that bell is not a burglar alarm or a fire alarm. It is the division bell, which means that you have to go and vote. But thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.